Up north, tea's just tea. Down here in the South where I come from, it's practically a lifestyle. Because my husband says I make the best tea around, which he might be a little partial, I thought that we'd show you my recipe for my tried and true best tea that you'll ever make. Hey, if you're new here, my name is Ashley. Welcome back to Stay at Home Mom Diaries. Stick around to the end of the video and I'll reveal my ultimate secret for how it turns out exactly right. So you'll need to gather a couple things together to be able to make our tea. I have water. I do tend to use filtered water for my tea. I've already got the water boiling on the stove to help us be a little bit more timely. A pitcher to put your tea into. Of course, because we're making sweet tea, we're going to need some sugar. And your choice of tea. Now, to me, I think the further south that you go, the better the sweet tea. So I always go with Louisiana tea. I think that it gives the best flavor. We do use decaf just because I nurse my son and I don't want him affected by the tea late at night. And my husband and I also have got to where we can't really sleep that great because I like my tea strong. So we're using decaf. I believe our water is up to boil, so let me grab that for you. Once your water has come to a boil, you're going to take and put your tea into your pot of boiling water. Do not do it while it's on the stove. You want to remove it and put it into the hot water. Now, for my tea, me and my husband, we like it strong. I don't want sweet, weak tea. Especially some of the places that you go, they make it so sweet. It's like syrup, and then there's no flavor. So it's really just like sugar water, and that's not good sweet tea. So if you've ever gone to a restaurant and that's what you've had, you've not had good sweet tea. I like my tea strong like I like my coffee. So I always do several tea bags. This is 6, but we're going to do a total of 9. So I have a new box here to get our extra 3 out. You can't ever run out of tea in the South in your house. That has to be a staple on your grocery list. So we have our 9 bags ready to go into our boiling water. And you're just going to cover that. You're going to want to let it sit for 30 minutes. Set a timer on your stove. Set a timer on your iPhone. Don't touch it for 30 minutes. While that is doing its thing, we can come over here and go ahead and get our pitcher ready. I've already washed and rinsed this and let it dry. For the sugar, you do what pleases you. But my husband, he likes 1.5 cups of sugar for this whole pitcher of tea. Yes, it's pretty much like diabetes in a pitcher. So I've got a 1/2 cup here. My full cup is in the sink, sitting in some soapy water to go in my dishwasher because I just finished dinner and we ran out of sweet tea with dinner, so we have to make another batch of sweet tea, and the reason this video come about. So here's our 1.5 cups of sugar in our pitcher, ready for our tea once our 30 minutes is up. While that's steeping, we got 29 minutes on the clock. I thought I'd tell you a little bit about why I feel like I'm a good one to be able to tell you what's good sweetened tea and not. So I am from the South, born and raised, but my step-grandparents were actually from the North, from Michigan, and they were the sweetest thing ever to me, and still are. They took me in as if I was their own, and so I spent a lot of time over there. Every day after school, because my mom worked with their son who was paralyzed, and she would help with his therapies and stuff. So I would get off the school bus over at their house, and so a lot of the times we would eat dinner with them, and I would be over there on the weekends. And so though I was immersed in the South and grew up here in the South, a lot of my world was also with my northern family. And so they didn't have sweet tea when you went over to their house. She would make tea occasionally. Mostly it was like water, and she'd have some sodas every now and then. When she made tea, it was not sweet. Now, mind you, I was in their life from the time that I was like 1.5 years old until now, when I'm 39 years old. So I've had many years of not having sweet tea and many years of having sweet tea. And so I think I have a good side-by-side comparison. where maybe that's not your typical if you have a Southerner doing a sweet tea video with their opinion. Grandma from the north always had tea that was a little bit more on the weak side and then not sweet. And my granny from the south would always have sweet tea. And it was always so, so good. Now, I have to say I make mine a little bit stronger than hers, so I think that I've kind of leveled up Granny's recipe. But I love them both dearly and totally unbiased based on them being from the north and the south. Truly, sweet tea just tastes better, in my opinion, in my little southern opinion. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is the healthiest thing in the world to be consuming, and we don't have it all the time. It is a treat. I try to have it just for evening time with dinner, and we don't really make it every single week, but I do try to have it occasionally, and it is cheaper than having soda in the house. I'm not going to tell you it's the healthiest thing in the world to be consuming. In fact, I've worked with quite a few doctors in my time, urologists actually, that would say that they preferred to live in the South because they could see more patients because of their sweet tea, and their sun drop would cause a lot of the time kidney issues like kidney stones. So it's not something that I recommend that we have all the time, but it is something nice to have. And I thought, because I was doing this video, I'd look up and kind of see exactly why the North and the South do tea a little bit differently. And so with a little bit of a Google search, I found out that sugar was predominantly grown more here in the South, and we actually had the machinery to be able to turn it into sugar to be used. And so because we had it down here to be processed, it was easier to come by and cheaper. So it was easier for them to turn it into a sweet non-alcoholic drink than the North. They didn't have as much sugar, and so their tradition was just to make tea without sugar. And so that's where the two rivals come to be, all just in tradition. You'll have to leave me a comment down below. Where do you live? Because I'd love to know where you're watching this video from. And do you drink sweet tea or unsweet tea? Because I'd like to know if there are some Northerners up there that like a little bit of sugar in their tea. We might even have a good mix, because there are quite a few Northerners that move to the South when they retire. And so we might have a good mix of even some Southerners drinking some unsweet tea. Might be a little fun to watch down in the comments. We're down to 24 minutes and counting. Don't go anywhere, because I'm going to tell you the secret to the best sweet tea when we get back, when we put these two together. Welcome back, friends. Y'all got back just in time for my timer to go off on my stove. I just finished up my dishes, so let's get this tea put together. So we have our 1.5 cups of sugar, and we have our tea that has steeped for 30 minutes. So I told you when we come back that I would tell you the secret to making the best sweet tea ever. And that secret is patience. You have to let it steep for 30 minutes if you want good, strong Southern sweet tea. If you want something that you can see through that is not strong at all, weak as dishwater, and is super sweet like syrup, then don't let it steep for 30 minutes. But if you want the best, you're going to let it steep for 30 minutes. Now, the next thing is when you take these tea bags out of your tea, do not squeeze the tea bags, because that will make your tea bitter. So you just want to let them hang and kind of drip for just a few minutes. And then what I do is I carry them over to the sink, and I go ahead and put them into my sink to rest until they're not boiling hot anymore, so it doesn't burn through your trash bag. So we have our good strong tea that we're now going to add to our 1.5 cups of sugar. Don't measure water, because you're going to dilute it anyway. I usually fill my pot up about 3/4 of a way full of water. And I always do this over top of my sink, just so that if anything spills, I'm not making a big, huge mess. And then we can just leave our pot there. So here is our good, strong, sweet tea. You see how dark in color that is? That's because we had the patience to wait for the 30 minutes. So we're just going to stir this together. If you're in a pinch and you want to go ahead and enjoy this with your dinner that you're getting ready to have, then fill this up with ice cubes. It'll dilute your tea, and it'll melt the ice cubes and make your tea cold in an ASAP. But if you've got the patience, which again is the big key here when making the best sweet tea ever, fill it up with your water. I use filtered water. and you're going to let it sit overnight. That's truly the best sweet tea. So again, the patience to let it sit for 30 minutes to steep and then sit overnight to the next day, and you've got the perfect glass of sweet tea. So here's my filter water going in. I may not have quite enough water, so I may have to add some more. I think we can call that good. You can fill it on up if you like. But around here in my house, we don't want any sweet tea that you can see through. And as you see, you can't see through that. It is dark tea. So you're going to have a strong flavor of tea, but you're also going to have the sweetness that comes with it. So it's not going to taste like syrup. It's going to have the perfect balance. And again, all because we had the patience to wait that 30 minutes. Let's pour us a glass. I like to fill my glass all the way up with ice, so you get just a little bit of tea, and it's the perfect balance. Now that is a glass of good, strong, sweet tea. Perfect. If you like videos like these, where I show you some Southern how-tos, definitely subscribe. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and leave me a comment down below. Again, let me know where you live and what kind of tea that you prefer, sweet or unsweet. Until next time, please remember that you do have value, you are special, and I'm really glad that you're here. Bye, friends.